Hey YouTube people, doing another video. It has been a minute. Last one I did was a video of this 95 F-150. It put a shift cable in it. And tonight we're actually messing with, well, not really messing with, more talking about uh, this 88 Ford Ranger pickup. Currently running a 2.3 liter single overhead cam engine, which I put in there, about 5 years ago now. And it has a mild towing cam in it, and I built this truck probably about 6 years ago now, maybe seven. And the idea was to make it for car shows and cruises. That it's not a race vehicle. I don't pull. It's not a pulling truck. Some of you, and I mean, it might be a limited number of you, might know. It's called the Little Bohemian. I have the script on the side there, and the reason I did that is because actually my older brother and his wife, they both have pulling trucks. My older brother Chris, he has it's like a 75-ish F-250 truck with a 460 big block in it. It's a straight up pulling truck. It is not a street vehicle. It runs on race gas, and it's puts out some horsepower. 4-wheel drive truck. And then of course his wife, she has I believe it's an 82. It started out his life as a 2-wheel drive pickup, and she actually, he actually rather, converted it to a 4-wheel drive truck with a solid front axle and leaf springs. And if you know anything about 82 F-250s, they didn't have leaf springs on the front, and they were twin I-beam. So that was quite the swap process. And that truck also, I believe, was not a big block truck. I don't know what engine they had in it originally, but he had to cut out the cross member to make the big block fit, but maybe that was just for the racing oil pan. Anyway, back to my story. This truck here, the reason why Ford Ranger, because, well, first vehicle I ever had, 83 Ford Ranger pickup. It was my dad's. It was actually the last vehicle he bought new, and no, he is not dead. He's still around. But he just, ever since then, he's always just bought used vehicles. I don't know why that is. I suppose he had kids and stuff and just couldn't afford them, or just decided he doesn't need new vehicles anymore. So, but anyway, long story short, it was a hand-me-down vehicle. My older brother drove it in high school for a little bit. It was pretty clapped out then. I got it. It was very clapped out by the time I got it. It was burning oil, things like that. That truck also had a 2.3 liter in it. It was a 4-speed truck. This truck here, being an 88, had a 5-speed in it, which I like. It's a little bit more usable to drive. Unfortunately, and this will all come full circle here. You'll understand why I'm doing it. This truck, 2.3 liter, it's a carbureted engine. So I know you're thinking 88s, they would have been fuel injected. That is not, that is true for this truck, but not true for the engine that is in here. The engine that is in here is actually out of a 83 Ford Mustang. And if you're hearing chirping in the background, it's because I got a little friend in here. Barn swallows. Gotta love them. And that's why my truck always has bird shit all over it. Pardon my French. But anyway, so I'm trying to keep this thing original-ish, but I figured it's time for an upgrade. As people that are aware, these older 2.3s, they made good power if you souped them up, but unfortunately parts are getting hard to find for these. And I honestly, it's just, they're too expensive to do anything with, and I don't have a lot of money to do stuff, hence the name of the channel. Always kind of been living paycheck to paycheck, and we just use what we can use. Anyway, and this is going to be one of those ones that's kind of on the, is this really a budget thing? This is more of a, I don't know, I've kind of always wanted to do this. I'm digging a little deep in my pockets for this one. I mean, we're really stretching the budget thin on this truck. Because I've basically just, I've needed to do it for a while, and it's been gnawing at me, and I'm like, all right, we're finally gonna pull the trigger on this one and just let's try it. I've always wanted to do one of these. People have talked about them for years. I've never seen one. I know some of you are like, and you're wondering, what are you talking about? V8 swapping. The big question that I've been asked since day one, since I own this truck: are you gonna V8 swap this truck? Yes, we are going to V8 swap this truck. I've been putting it off, and the main reason why is because, well, there's a lot of nostalgia for me with the 2.3s and the Ranger pickup in general, and it does drive nice. It's really not a bad truck. It's the biggest issue is, and I'm sure a lot of you know that have small pickups, S10s, Tacoma, stuff like that, older ones especially. Try doing 70 in those trucks. It's very tough. This truck just doesn't just can't keep up with modern traffic anymore. In town, it's a great driving truck. If you go 65, it can do it. After 65, it has a hard time. This truck also built in 1988, back when the speed limit was still 55. It didn't have a problem keeping up with traffic. But now, speed limit on the Interstate 80 in Lincoln, through Lincoln or whatever, that's 80 miles an hour. And that truck won't do it. So, not that I really want to drive this truck on the interstate, because that might be a little iffy. Not that I probably could, but I don't know. It'd be a little sketchy going passing trucks and whatnot at 80. Anyway, coming back, like I said, full circle to the whole thing. What started it all, I want to keep this truck a manual 5-speed. And I know a lot of you saying, why don't you just put a C4 in it, or a C6, or a AOD, or AODE, or whatever, or why don't you swap it, blah, blah. No, I'm a Ford guy, sorry. Some of you might disagree, but, whatever. You like Chevys, I like Fords. I'm going to keep Ford stuff. So anyway, I have the 5-liter out of this, lose my footing there, out of this 95 F-150. I pulled that engine because it was overheating. Currently, it is sitting in an engine shop, and I'll get into that in a little bit here about why it's there. And anyway, so was looking for a 5-speed manual transmission for it. Sorry if I can talk. And I was having a hard time. There's a lot of these, and the biggest thing is you think, well, why don't you use a T5 like Mustang? A lot of people do that and stuff. No, I wanted to keep it truck, because it's a truck. It's not a car. I'm not going to race it. I mean, I might have a little fun with it. I'm not going to lie. Sure, I'll probably try to drag somebody or something with it, whatever. But it's not going to be the quickest vehicle. It's going to stay basically stock. I know that might bother some people, but it's a short wheelbase truck, and I really don't want it wrapped around a telephone pole or guardrail. Trying to keep this truck as nice as I can. I have enough problems. Like I said, what happened to my old pickup is I actually hit a deer with it, and nothing to do with horsepower. That was the stock 2.3, which actually had a short stint in this truck when I first got it, because I originally had a 2-liter, which is why this truck is still carbureted. For those of you that don't know, these trucks in '88, the 2-liters were carbureted, so there's no high pressure fuel pump in the tank, so it's all low pressure. So when I do this V8 swap with this 5-liter or 302, it's gonna be carbureted still. So I actually 95, for those of you that aren't familiar with Ford engines, it's a roller cam engine, and they're decent, of course, fuel injected. Well, I'm not going fuel injected. We're going back to carbureted. So I have to get an older style intake, carburetor, and of course all the accessories and things like that. The other thing is, since fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, that truck there, I needed that truck up and going again. Well, that was a serpentine belt drive setup truck. Well, I needed to use all the accessories on it. And me being a younger guy, I guess when it came to vehicles, I like serpentine belt setups. In fact, this Ranger has a serpentine belt setup on it, and I actually like it. Even the '83 Ranger that had a serpentine belt setup on it from the factory. I don't know. Serpentine belt to me works better than V belts. You can argue with me if you want, but in my opinion, I think they're easier. They just work better. Yes, I know when a serpentine belt breaks, you don't have a backup belt, but if this truck had a V8 in it, it's going to be when it does have a V8 in it, it's going to be so stripped down to the point it might bother some people. It would only have to have one belt anyway, even if it had a V belt. So it's irrelevant whether or not it's serpentine or V belt. Serpentine is just my personal choice, so we're just going to use a serpentine belt, assuming it works. Anyway, so scouring Facebook Marketplace, I finally found a 5-speed manual transmission. Which 5-speed manual transmission? Ironically, out of a 95 F-150 two-wheel drive. And that is a 5-speed. I believe they call it, and I might get this number wrong, I think they call it an M502 or R2, something like that, M50 R2, something like that. I think that's what they call these. Anyway, the manual transmission, 5-speed. The guy drove quite a ways to actually to deliver it to me, so thanks, man. Appreciate it. I just so happened to reach out. There was 2 other transmissions for sale at the time, and the guy that was the people that were selling the other ones, they didn't have the shifters for them. And I said, I need the shifter. And they said, we don't have a shifter for it. We pulled it out of the truck and we scrapped the truck, but we kept the parts. I'm like, well, that doesn't do me any good. Sorry. This guy just reached out and I said, hey, I've asked, there's 2 other ones for sale right now. You're the 3rd one. You're a little bit higher, but do you have the shifter for it? He said, yes. And I said, okay. Do you by chance happen to have the clutch and stuff and the flywheel? And he said, yes, I have that as well. So I said, awesome. I need all that to do this conversion. So we went ahead and did the deal. It was like $650 I paid for the transmission. So I thought that was a fairly good deal. Personally, a little expensive for my taste. I'm pretty low budget when it comes to stuff, so that's a bit of money for me to spend. Keep in mind, I paid, obviously didn't look like this. I paid $400 for this truck originally when I bought it. It didn't run. The motor was screwed up. So, but anyway, for a usable shell, $400, it seemed like fair. It was basically a roller, if you want to call it that, but it did have the transmission in it, and the driveline was still there. The motor was still in it, but the engine was messed up. It was basically a boat anchor at that point. I only had the engine running for about 15 seconds. When I co-started it down the hill, it popped off and ran for a couple seconds, and it sounded terrible. So we didn't mess around with it. Anyway, coming back, I needed to find serpentine belt setup for this truck, since I'm putting a 5-liter in it. And there'll be updates. I'm going to try to do the best I can with filming when I'm doing the swap process. And believe it or not, if it happens, assuming maybe my brother or something will let me use a shed or something, maybe it'll go a little smoother. But as of right now, where that pickup's sitting, that's where the engine swap's happening. And yes, I know, you're thinking, why are you doing it outside when you got a carport? Well, the carport's got a dirt floor, or grass, whatever you want to call that. There's no crushed rock or nothing there. You can't roll a cherry picker in there. And everywhere else in my yard is crushed rock. There's no concrete anywhere else. So, I'm kind of limited. Kind of sucks because I don't know how else I'm going to do it. I am coming up with some ideas on... I got a cherry picker invention kind of in the works here. We'll see. I'm trying to get my dad lined up and get me some materials. It's going to involve a lawnmower. And if it comes to fruition, I'll show you what it looks like. It should be a pretty simple build. And I'll probably film a video about me doing the process and showing you how it works. The main issue is once you get off the concrete, you can't move an engine around on this property. I don't have a forklift. I don't have any sort of tractor with a loader. I don't have a way to lift it. I can't lift up an engine block by myself. Maybe a 4-cylinder. V8 bare block maybe, but with cranking pistons and stuff in it, I might be able to scooch it around, but I ain't going to be deadlifting it into a truck or something unless I want to, blow out, something. Blow up my back, I guess. Anyway, so that's the kind of the story on this pickup here. Anyway, getting to I was telling you about the engine builder guy. Well, I dropped the motor off, would have been last week sometime, and I told him that this was a remanufactured engine, and I told him it was having an overheating problem. And he said, I hate remanufactured engines. And I said, why? He said, because they cut every single corner in the book, and I have seen some really shade tree mechanic fixes to make things work. He said he's seen everything from them taking sandpaper to make the heads, clean up the heads, or they'll use like a what do you want to call it, a filing board, like from auto body stuff. They'll take one of those, and that's how they machine the heads and stuff. Anyway, he took one look at those heads I had, and he said, I ain't touching those. So I just went, like, really? I'm like, and ironically, not ironically, the main reason I brought it to him is because I said, first things first, I want to see if this stuff is usable. Because if this thing's junk, I got no use for it. You know, it's just a boat anchor to me. And so unfortunately right now it's in the works of figuring out, is it a good engine or not. Fingers crossed it is. It has 30,000 pistons in it currently already. This engine was in that 95 F-150 when I bought it, which is why I bought the truck. I've complained about that truck in other videos. I won't bore you with the details on that one, but needless to say, it was a lemon of an engine, and I'm currently dealing with the repercussions of it, unfortunately. But maybe we'll have some fun with it and put it in this truck. Anyway, the primary use for this truck is going to be car shows, cruises. Take it to Lincoln or something every once in a while. Maybe take it to a car meet or two, just for fun. This truck was always made just for fun. It was never. I don't put stuff in the bed. It's got a spray and bed liner for it, and I know a lot of you saying it's a pickup. Who cares? It's a Ranger. You know, you like what you like. You know, everybody likes those, 70s Chevy pickups and square bodies and 70s Ford pickups and stuff if you're a Ford guy. A lot of people like those, and nothing wrong with them. This is that to me. So, like what you like, hate what you hate, I guess. And, of course, then I got my Challenger out there, too. That's another vehicle. I like that car, too. And then, if I wanted to, there's my two-wheel fun, if you will. And I've done a video on that. That's a Zhongsheng, yeah, I know, Chinese motorcycle, rebranded as a CSC, or California Scooter Company, SG 400 or San Gabriel 400, RE3 400. There's like a million names for it. But needless to say, it's a 400cc motorcycle. It is fuel injected, and it's pretty good for what it is. I like riding it. Like I said, it's the first motorcycle I've ever owned. So, trying not to go off on too big of a tangent. But anyway, yeah, the other thing I will say with this truck, with this 5-speed, I actually found out, and there was another YouTuber, he posted it online, and I just so happened to pop up. I forget how I came across it. It was either on my YouTube feed, or it was just a random video in a playlist on YouTube, and it came up. And the algorithm was knowing that I was thinking about doing a V8 swap, so maybe that was just part of it. Anyway, he happened to do a 5-speed manual swap out of an F-150. I don't remember what year exactly, but it was up till like 2000s. They were more or less the same with there's some minor differences. Anyway, he had like I want to say 94 Ranger pickup, which is a little bit newer than this one, but they use a lot of the same stuff. And drive shaft slipped right into the back of the transmission, he claimed. So I was able to do the same on mine. I tested it out. I pulled the drive shaft out of this one day, and I shoved it in there. It splines right up. So cool. And the transmission lengths, from what I can tell, are really, really close. They're probably within a half inch. So I consider that a win. So if it works out, that'd be great. If not, it's going to kind of suck. I'm going to have to figure out something there. Anyway, trying to go back to the serpentine belt setup thing. Okay, serpentine belt setup. The serpentine belt setup that I'm trying to run is off an 88 F-150. And why an 88? Because my dad happens to have a parts truck. And also this truck's an 88, so I figured, it's kind of fitting. He has an 88 F-150. He pulled the motor out of it and used it in his 79 F-150 because his 79 F-150 broke a camshaft. And I said, why not use that engine? Like, it has some sort of fuel injection issue. The engine probably runs fine. So he did a quick and dirty rebuild of that and put it in that truck, and it runs fine. He just used all his parts. And his truck's an automatic. This parts truck was a manual. Unfortunately, he swapped some parts with an old co-worker of mine, and they didn't have a clutch anymore, so I couldn't use that. But anyway, there was lots of other parts available for it. He still had all the accessory pulleys and stuff. Unfortunately, the truck's been sitting for so long. He has it out at my uncle's farm there out in the tree row. And parts are just like, where are they? I found all the pulleys and the brackets and stuff, but I am missing half the bolts, I think. So that's going to be interesting to say the least. The other issue, being since this truck's a lot smaller than an F-150, and I'm sure a lot of you probably have, are around that sort of thing, you'll know that the radiators and stuff are going to be a tight fit for the accessory pulleys. I do have a mechanical fan here that's out of an 88 F-150, And there's a slim possibility that might work, but almost positive I'm going to end up running a electric cooling fan. And obviously, the more CFMs, the more air can move, basically, the better. And I'm going to try to find at least a 3,000 CFM or more if I can find it. And if there's not enough room, I'm going to make it a pusher fan and put it on the outside of the radiator. But as things progress, like I said, I'll show you. I'm planning on running, and I don't know how well this is going to work. They call it a 5-row radiator. It's supposedly going to fit in one of these trucks stock. It's designed for the 2.9, 3 liter, 4 liter trucks up till I forget what years. And a lot of the SUVs like the Navajo and the Explorer and Ranger pickups with those engines. Apparently they fit in there. This uses a kind of a unique radiator. It has two like pin mounts on the bottom that go down. So a lot of your universal, like they have 302 swap radiators you can put in these, but you gotta like make mounts and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I've talked to some people online, and they're hacking up the front end and stuff. I'm like, yes, it probably works, but I really don't want to do that to this truck. This truck is more or less all original within reason. I mean, yeah, there's some body panels and stuff been replaced on it, but I don't feel like hacking the truck up just to get stuff to fit. And maybe I'll change my mind here, and I'll be doing that in a little while when the radiator isn't working like I want it to. But the other thing is, I needed to find out since this truck is a 4-cylinder. And just the way the orientation is of this engine, it has sidekick exhaust right now that runs out the passenger side, which I don't know if I can maybe show you if you can see it or not. It might be pretty tough to see. I got to park pretty close to the wall. Anyway, it's got a sidekick exhaust that comes right out in front of the tire there. It's a 3-inch stainless exhaust. And I was hoping I can retain that. And I know you're thinking, well, how's that going to work? It's a 4-cylinder, it's a V8. You're not going to be able to retain it. Basically, I'm going to reutilize it, modify it, cut off pieces, and weld on new ones. And the only way I think I can make that happen is if I use this stock crossover tubing, which kind of sucks because it's not stainless. I was hoping I could use stainless again. And in theory, I probably could, but the biggest issue with stainless is, another thing is I'm not going to be using headers, maybe. I might end up using headers. We'll see how that actually goes. I'm going to try to use stock manifolds off of, this came off of an 86 F-150. And you're saying, why 86? Why? I thought you had an 88 F-150 that you're using all the accessory pulleys off. Well, the 86 F-150 is actually where I got the donor motor for that truck. And these are the other accessories. So yes, I have all these extra parts. Well, as you can see here, 86 uses a V-belt setup for everything. Here's the smog pump and AC compressor off that 86. And then on the, I don't know if you can see here, it's a power steering pump off of that 88, which my truck is not going to have power steering. It didn't have power steering from the factory. I don't have a power steering steering box for it. Mine has manual power or manual steering on it. Also has manual brakes, which might not be super great with the V8 in it, but we'll see how that goes. Worst case scenario, I still got my old 83 Ford Ranger out the same place where I got all these parts from. Might be able to rob the brake system off of that and plumb it into here, but we'll see how this actually goes. But anyway, yeah, there's some big plans coming for this truck, so hopefully, like I said, it's going to be a tight budget thing. It's not going to be a quick process because, like I said, I'm kind of like a paycheck-to-paycheck guy right now when it comes to building anything. So we'll kind of rolling the dice, and we're going to see how things land. This may not happen immediately. I'm hoping this will happen sooner than later, but maybe I got big ambitions, and I don't have the financial backing to do it. So we'll see what happens in reality, because the engine guy, I don't know what he's doing to that engine. He is very adamant about doing things his way and his way only. He doesn't want to cut corners. He wants to do it right, which I understand from being an automotive mechanic myself. I don't like cutting corners. I hate doing that. But sometimes you don't have a choice when parts aren't available or the customer doesn't have the money to do it the way you want to do it. Or simply you just don't have the time. Those are the three reasons corners get cut. or well, 4 if you're a lazy mechanic and don't want to do it the right way, or lazy person in general. And every once in a while, that can happen, but it's just I try to do the best I can with the stuff I have. So, but anyway, yeah. Thank you guys again for watching. I'm just gonna wrap this one up now. I said I just wanted to give you a quick overlook. Like I said, I haven't done a video in a while. Figured might as well do a little update, show you guys what's going on. Like I said, I'll just give you a hint. The little chain hoist there is gonna possibly be involved in that lawnmower thing that I'm talking about, and you're stay tuned if you want to figure out what that's all about. Um, Maybe in the next video or possibly the video after that, we'll see how long that comes to fruition. My dad's actually a metal worker or a welder machinist, and he has access to metal and stuff like that. I just got to get on the same page as him about getting something lined up about getting materials. He's working in a small shop, so right now they're pretty swamped, and he's like, maybe not right now. Let me know in a little while, and I'll be able to help you out with some stuff. So, wasn't not trying to push anything. I just like, let's just make this work. So, anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I said, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. I'm always looking for more followers. I appreciate all you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.